How can you spot a true Bison fan? They have an exclusive Bison debit card from Gate City Bank in their wallet. Plus, they know that for every card order, Gate City Bank donates $10 to NDSU. Show your spirit with your own Bison card today at gatecity.bank/Bison or instantly at any location. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Kolpack and Izzo podcast, brought to you by Gate City Bank with the Forum's Jeff Kolpack. I'm Dom Izzo from WDAY Sports. North Dakota State begins its first road trip of the season Saturday in Springfield, Missouri. First time the Bison will be down in the Show Me State since March of 2021. A 25-0 Bison win over the Bears that day. Coincidentally enough, Jeffrey, the last time they were there, that preceded a loss. NDSU lost at Southern Illinois the week prior when they went to
the big
Missouri
streak breaker.
State. It was
the big streak breaker. What was it? 39?
39. They were
39 in a row.
A nice round number of 40, and SIU tripped them up. But the following
week, they didn't trip them up.
No, they got they hammered them that day, which maybe is akin to what we saw happen at the Fargo Dome last Saturday with the Bison getting, as Jake Cava said it, we can say it on the podcast, they got their asses kicked by the University of South Dakota. So here we sit on Thursday. We have broken it down all week. Mo State comes in a hurting unit. We'll get to that in a second. But personally, I'm not interested in the Bears really whatsoever. I'm really interested to see what the Bison, how they come out and how they perform on Saturday.
So you're looking between the ears. You're looking at the rah-rah, the effort, all those things.
You've been down there plenty of times. You know there's not going to be an atmosphere.
No, especially now.
Right?
The Bears are 1-3,
right.
and there's been times where they've maybe drawn some people, but by and large, it just has never taken a hold of. And I don't understand that why that is. Springfield's a pretty big area. It's a nice town. It's a nice city.
Town, yeah.
The stadium is nice. The stadium, there's nothing wrong with the stadium. Pretty good seats. They've renovated parts of it. They got the student plaza. There's areas to tailgate. Nice big parking lots. I don't know. Does everybody go to Branson and go to Dolly Parton World or whatever? I mean, what do they do down there?
It's not Missouri State football. They haven't given a reason to care about Mo State football. Bobby Petrino got them to the playoffs twice in that 2021 calendar year, and last year was a massive disappointment. Dave Steckel didn't work out. That's why they brought in Petrino in the fall of 2020, and then he moved on. I said he was going to be there 3 years. He was there 3 years, and now it falls to Ryan Beard, who is Petrino's defensive coordinator. He's also a Petrino. He married into the family, and he's got a tough job. And it's Mo State football. It's not a big deal. It just isn't. Basketball's the thing down there. It really. If you've seen the JQH Arena, it's legit. They love their hoops in Springfield.
Well, I get that.
And baseball.
So you're saying it's kind of like Indiana University, which is all basketball, very little football in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And Missouri State, the fan base is almost the same way. But at least Indiana draws fans for football games.
They also, Springfield has a AA baseball team there. We've been by that baseball stadium. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but baseball's over.
Most State baseball is a big deal. I don't know. They've never been good enough for people to care, in my mind. So relating that to the Bison, off your point, what you're talking about, there's no energy there. They're going to have to create their own. I'm really interested to see how this game comes out. If they mess around early in this game, it's game on. This is an opportunity. You got to come out and squash this team. They're struggling, and if NDSU is frustrated or angry as it appears, this game shouldn't be messed around with early on, in my opinion.
And that is the reason that when you look at the Bears, that to jump on them early, they're a young team.
Yep.
They have no seniors on defense. They're a frenetic team on defense. They gave up 405 yards rushing to Tennessee Martin, and then held SIU to -10 in the second half last week. So what's it going to be for this defense?
I think it's more the first than the latter.
You think so?
SIU was, I don't think that game, I know it got close a little bit, but I don't think SIU ever really sweated that game last week against Mo State. And that's not necessarily their game. They have Roe Elliott, SIU does, really good running back, but their offense goes through Nick Baker. I don't think running the football was probably a high priority. So to answer your question, I think we see more of what we saw against Tennessee Martin than we do against Southern
I want to go
Illinois.
back to why we think Missouri State hasn't really taken a hold with football in the area. The president comes in. He's been
Cliff
there.
Smart, yeah.
He mentioned FBS.
He did.
He's got an eye on FBS.
Uh-huh.
Not sure how that's going to work, but it's more than just not putting a winning product on the field, in my opinion. The media attention of the Bears is I mean, Wyatt Wheeler does a great job for the Springfield News Leader newspaper, but that's it.
Correct.
There's no TV really.
No.
Do they care?
No, they don't. But you have to have fan interest to care as well if you want to do this at FBS. And maybe it's the chicken and the egg. Well, okay, if we go FBS, then people will care. But I don't know if that's.
But you look at all the media attention that is on NDSU, and for better, for worse, I'll take that when you have multiple TVs. Yeah. We have a traveling party of a lot that'll be in Springfield. People care. Our media companies obviously make money off this product. The ratings are good. The viewership's good. Yep. The analytics with inform.com are really good. And so it's more than just a football program. It's a town that cares. It's media entities that care. It's alumni that care. It's more than just the head coach, a staff, and a bunch of players. Yep. And I'm not sure. Maybe the whole shebang, as when you take it into context, the coaches care, and the program and the president wants us to go FBS, but everything else is just really average at best.
Lagging behind is the way I would put it. It really is, And
how do you change that?
Win.
Well, I think you need
to win. People care when you win.
Well, you win with money, and NDSU had enough in the 60s, so they formed Team Anchors, put some investment in the program, and I think that was what changed things. I don't know what the investment is in Missouri State football. I don't know if there's a Team Anchor-like booster group that just that really wants, and puts its money where its mouth is.
Yeah. I've in the 13 years that I've covered for Bison football, traveling I've been to Springfield now 5 times. I've not seen it at all from 3 separate coaches, from Allen to Steckel to Petrino. It's not been there, and I don't know if that can ever change. Frankly,
well, it starts with money. It starts with finances. It starts with investment, and that's where it's got to go. And it's probably not going to be there. I don't know. But it's puzzling to me in a way.
Their location helps, though. That's the big name. If you were to talk about that, about FBS football, location. They got that. So if you want to dismiss everything you just said, that's the trump card. They can say, you know what, Kolpack, people don't care. Maybe we don't have a great media market. You know what we do have? Location. You can get pretty easy into Springfield. And that's why the CUSA would be like, yep, if you're interested, we will talk to you. That's... Bottom line, how many times have you talked to me about that on the flip side on North Dakota State? That's why Mo State would be in the conversation. All of that will get pushed aside. Because look at Kennesaw. Kennesaw has had football for 7 years, and they're going to be FBS this time next season.
But would Missouri State still draw with New Mexico coming in?
Probably not. They wouldn't draw with Kennesaw coming in. They'd be in the, they'd be in the same league with Kennesaw State and Sam Houston. And you watched that CUSA game last night in Middle Tennessee State and Jacksonville State. Maybe Jack State would get some people. I don't know. That's why location would be why Cliff Smart is eager on that on the Mo State side of things. Shall we chat about the Bison?
Yeah.
Where are you at here? Where do you stand? I overreacted with you on Monday. It's now Thursday.
This is overreaction week. It's just not overreaction Monday. A, on your part, and B, on fans in general. I've run into it all week. Is it over? Is it over? Hold on here. Hold on.
What would it take for you to overreact then, or on this? They lose Saturday?
Yeah, that. And then it's time to. Then that's not overreacting. That's just reacting to things not going well. Overreaction is what happened. South Dakota played a great game. They played the perfect game. They didn't make a turnover. They got the penalties when they needed them. They had a very good game plan. They had a very good quarterback who played his best game of the year. They had a receiver who probably won't do that again the rest of the season. 2 touchdowns like he did.
2 50-plus yard touchdowns.
They had a good game plan. They didn't allow NDSU with an explosive play. So they played it perfectly. And it happens in football. That's just the way it is. Now, okay, it's 3-1. Unexpected loss. I get it. That happens. But we'll see from here.
I think there's warning signs here, personally. I still go back to, yes, they were going to lose.
Well, of course there's warning signs. A loss is a warning sign.
But what you saw out there was indicative of, I'm not sure if there's anything correctable between now and the end of the season. Their personnel may be just what they have, and I don't know if there's they're
still 5th in the FCS in scoring offense. They're still 13th in the FCS in scoring defense.
Still, they haven't got to the quarterback yet. The defensive line hasn't done that, right?
Yep.
That's not a trend. That's not a South Dakota. That's a trend. Happened from game 1 to game 4. They haven't. I think linebacker play outside of Kopp's performance in the first and third games, still without a real signature performance there, especially in the middle.
Kubitz coming back will help.
I think the back end of the defense is still an issue there. Cornerbacks especially. Had reared its head, certainly against South Dakota. I think certainly in early parts of the season as well, where they have some issues. Like we didn't get an answer, and I didn't ask this, why Jaquise Alexander was in on that second touchdown to Bell and not Marcus Shepard. Was that because Alexander hadn't played one snap at all, and he got thrown in first collegiate snap and gave up the touchdown.
That was his first snap?
Yeah, at least to my recollection, that was his first snap out. I had seen 18 out there, and then before I know it, he's the guy in the end zone when Bell's trying to stretch out for the score. So to me, there's that. Then on the offensive side, you and I agree on this. Offensive line push has not been there. That's why they made a change, I would think. That's why Zabel is going to the outside and Miller's going inside. And this is the question I got asked the most this week. Why are the running backs not carrying the ball? And I don't have a great answer on that without getting
other than more RPO than ever before.
Without getting super
which is
into
run
it.
pass option for those out there
I
that
think
don't know.
That to me is, I know they wanted to change up the offense, and now they've gone away from maybe having the running backs getting it 10 to 15 times a game, and Tamarick Williams is sitting there. I think Barika Penny was ready to explode, and he got the ball 3 times, and we didn't see him again after that run in the third quarter. Those to me, I laid those out. Those are, and I've already went down the road on the wide receivers. I think the lack of explosive playmaker there is still, they haven't been able to take the top off of anybody. Not since Christian Watson played his last game in January of 2022. They have not been able to do that.
Well, they did it once, and Braylon dropped it.
Right. That was the one time they had a chance to do it this season.
I want to see Mekhi Collins. I want to see more of Mekhi Collins. I don't know what's. Hold on here.
Okay.
I don't know what is preventing this from happening. Whether it's a knowledge of the offense or they're loyal and they want these seniors and super seniors and they're giving them the chance and the shot. But to me, when you have a guy 6'3", 6'4", who apparently is pretty fast and that big, put your best athlete. I want to see your best athlete. Is he your best athlete at receiver?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. There must be a reason why he hasn't played. Right? I mean, there's 4 games in. There must be a reason why he hasn't passed anybody else. That's what coaches would always tell me. Look at it. There's a reason why he hasn't played yet. Maybe he hasn't picked up on it. Maybe he can't beat out Braylon Henderson or Raja Nelson. I don't know. I don't disagree with you about putting your best athletes out there. Maybe they can't because the other ones aren't ready to go. I don't know.
I don't know if it's at the expense of the certain culture component that the NDSU preaches.
You're saying risk losing the team or losing players by doing that?
Well, sitting veterans, yes. Yep. Guys that have been there 4, 5, 6 years.
Remember when that happened in 2010? Remember Cyrus Lemon was a team captain, and he got benched for Colton Hegel, and that worked. That one worked out. But you got to have the right mix on that to. Luke Wirtz is a captain, but it's
a risk,
right?
Yeah, it's a risk.
But is he the best option at middle linebacker? Is the question you'd have to ask if you're Matt Entz and if you're Grant Olson in the linebacker room. If Nick Kubitz is healthy, he probably has to be our guy in the middle. That's
At
You're right.
3-0, you don't have to really ask the hard questions of your team. At 3-1 after last week, do you have to ask the hard questions of your team?
I think you do. I think that was what Entz was intimating at Saturday afternoon after the loss, that meeting with the leadership council about where this is going to go. Because I don't think they're going to stub their toe this weekend. But next week, that game, which already was huge for UND, suddenly becomes monstrous for NDSU, knowing what's lying in wait after that. And I'll just say this, we lamented the schedule all summer long. NDSU fans should be grateful they do not have Youngstown and Illinois State on the schedule. And instead it's Murray.
Oh, Illinois State's no big deal.
Instead of it's they would play harder than Western and Murray State.
Yeah.
That's my point. Youngstown and Illinois State not being on the schedule is okay.
We agree, and then we'll move on this point. Be very interesting to see what the personnel is this weekend.
Absolutely. I want to see who's getting the ball in the running back rotation.
Are they content to stay the same what they've done, or are they going to do something different?
What's your gut tell you?
Oh, boy.
My gut tells me they're not going to do that. They're going to stay the same.
Yeah.
That's my gut. And I'd like to be surprised, but that's because that's not how they roll. You know what I mean? And to your point, I think they risk having things maybe go really sideways.
They haven't had to ask the hard questions of a team in a long time.
Certainly not this early.
No.
The loss to Arizona last year
since 2010.
The loss to Arizona came in the third game, but there was
31-28.
There was chances to win that football game. You look at the other games they lost, like to Youngstown in 2011, to the Indiana State game in 2012, the ultimate fluker, the beat down at Northern Iowa to end the first streak in 2014. Those were clunkers were going to come. This wasn't a clunker. It was, but it was South Dakota dominating in a fashion where some hard questions, some tough questions, I'm sure were asked this week. Maybe
South Dakota's 3-1 with an FBS loss.
You brought this up to me. Let's see where they're at in a few weeks.
Eastern Washington has proved to be better.
Yep.
Central Arkansas has proven to be better.
Maybe it's a quality loss. Your favorite phrase of all time. We'll see. I just think there are some warts that have shown early on, and I don't know how they get cleaned up. That's the part I'm really
We didn't know how good South Dakota was because of the Lamar and St. Thomas
competition they have
just
played.
Not good teams right now, as far as Sagarin ratings anyway, if you believe that.
There's a point I had this email to me on Hot Mic, and I wanted to get your reaction on it, asking, are there too many players that are, quote-unquote, sticking around, meaning using their extra year, using their eligibility to the fullest, where that may, to your point, backstopping younger guys to get on the field because
that's the hard question.
Because 5th and 6th year guys want to use every year of eligibility they can have.
That's exactly what I mean by the hard questions. Okay. Yes, that's what I was getting at.
Okay. Well, that's a really hard question.
Darius Givens going to get on the field? 6'2", athletic, big guy as a safety.
Redshirt freshman. Yep. Right. That's every Division I coach is dealing with that right now. It's not just exclusive to Fargo, but I don't know how you judge that. If a guy says, I want to come back, that's the head coach then to say, all right, well, do we? And then in the trickle-down, Kolpack goes, they may not be able to take as many incoming freshmen because they got to take care of the returners.
Yeah, roster management.
Right? That's a dicey proposition. I was told, two sources told me that during the bye week, that Entz had the conversation with all the guys that potentially could. And I think he has a good grasp on who's going to come back and who's not. I think we've done an informal poll of we know the guys that are coming back and some that are still up in the air. I think there's about 13, 14 I still haven't got an answer on. Overwhelmingly, there's over 20 guys that have said, including the quarterback, they're coming back for their extra year of eligibility.
Jeez. Oh, I wouldn't want to be a head coach right now and dealing with that kind of roster stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. Beyond that, name, image, likeness, the portal. You actually have to go and coach the football game. There's a lot going on right now.
That's stuff that Kleiman and Craig Bolt didn't have to deal with.
Nope. They frankly did not. They do now at their current stops, but at their time when they were coaching here, they did not have to worry about it. On the Valley as a whole, before we get into some picks here, South Dakota State took it to UND. I think now the gap, which we thought was there, is only widened with them and with NDSU. Yep. I don't think there's any doubt on that. Southern's 4-0. They have a biggie. We're going to pick that game on Saturday morning at Youngstown. That's a really intriguing game to see if the Salukis go and get that one, Kolpack. They'll be 5-0. They get the Jacks in Carbondale later this month. They might be paying attention to what's going with Nick Hill's team, what's going on at SIU.
So
with an FBS win in their back pocket, by the way.
Yeah, let's pump that brake a little bit until we see what Youngstown and how they match up.
I was all giddy on Youngstown, and they gave up 44 to Northern Iowa last week.
So Southern has beaten Western Illinois, Eastern Illinois, right?
Southern Illinois, no, they beat that. Southern's got they got a couple nice wins. They beat SEMO, which was a nice win for them. They have the win over Northern Illinois.
Yeah, but Northern Illinois is 1-4.
That's still an FBS win. They beat Austin P so far, and then they beat Mo State. It's
wins. Illinois State that has played the week schedule.
Illinois
Western
State,
Illinois, Eastern Illinois, and Lindenwood.
Right, Illinois
That's
State,
why I got those confused.
Yeah, Illinois State's beaten nobody and lost to Eastern Illinois in the process.
Yes.
SIU, that'd be a big one. They get that because you look at what they have after. If SIU wins on the road Saturday, they go to Murray after that. They're going to win that. Then they have the Jacks at home. The Jacks coming to Carbondale, which will be tough. But then after that, at Western, home for USD, they come here and host Indiana State. Kolpack, they don't play Northern Iowa this year. They don't play UND. They got a chance to get to 9 wins. Just looking at this right here, that's a seed. If you win 9 with an FBS win, SIU's a seeded team in 2023.
We've talked about them before at this time of the year.
Right. Get this one on Saturday. They have your attention if they get that one, though.
Yes, no question.
How about UND?
And it's at Youngstown, too.
It is. UND's 2-2. They got Western this weekend, which will not be a concern, I would imagine. And then it's everything.
I think the season comes down.
I agree.
Yeah, to the Alaris for UND because with a win, all of a sudden you throw NDSU behind you.
Correct.
You certainly have the upper hand then as far as if potential playoffs down the road and regionality in the second round.
Correctamundo. You'd be 4-2. But more importantly, NDSU would have 2 conference losses, and you'd only have 1 at that point.
NDSU still has to go to Brookings, still has to go to Northern Iowa.
Right. UND goes to Northern Iowa the week after they play the Bison, which is probably their next toughest game after that. They still have Illinois State, which I know you're not high on SPAC's team, which I'll go to them. You mentioned their schedule. I think there's some rumblings. I've heard it. You've heard it about what's the future for Mr. SPAC. They have South Dakota State. It's a night game in Normal on Saturday night. If things go, let's say they go 5-6, is he still around in 2024?
What's his contract status?
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
But you give 5-6, 4-7. What's
I've sort of had the gut feeling in seeing him on press conferences and talking to him that he's not in it for 5-10 more years. I just feel like he knows it's been a long run for him. And he kept talking a couple times about his lake cabin in Wisconsin.
Goes through 2025. He's got a contract through 25. So that's 2 more years.
Boy, I don't know if you buy somebody out in the FCS for 2 more years. New president, new AD.
They actually had to hire an AD. The rate I have right now is an interim AD.
Yeah, I don't think you buy a guy out for 2 years. Not in this league.
I agree. But he's got to start winning. They have not made the playoffs since the 2019 team with James Robinson. They made the quarterfinals that season. They really have been hammered since the COVID year. Remember, they shut down early in the spring. They have not really recovered.
They haven't really covered on their lines of scrimmages either. Their O-line, their D-line's just been very average. Still young again this year on the D-line.
Lastly, before we do some picks, are our friends in Cedar Falls back from the grave? They've won 2 in a row and 2-2 now.
Rescued the offense. Theo Day had issues going into that game with what I think it was like 5 interceptions and 2 something. The stats were backwards. Played well last week, and he's 6'5", and he's got a gun.
He's a dude.
It's just whatever reason the offense wasn't working until last week.
I'm telling you right now, next Saturday is Showdown Saturday in the Valley. We have the Bison at UND, and Northern Iowa plays in Brookings. Game on.
Yeah.
Northern Iowa has done really well in Brookings. 3 of the last 4 times in the regular season, they have won in South Dakota State.
I just think South Dakota State's on a whole nother. They're on a
They're
2019
really
Bison level right now.
That's pretty hot. That's pretty high status.
I think
there.
they are.
Right.
They're on that kind of a title status.
All right, something to keep an eye on. Should we pick a couple games here before we say goodbye? How about the game we're gonna watch this one tomorrow night in Springfield? Chris Kleiman's Kansas State Wildcats at he's friends with Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State.
Oh, his best buddy, Mike Gundy.
Buddy. Yeah, K-State, Oklahoma State tomorrow night in Stillwater.
I just don't think Oklahoma State's very good this year. I think Mike Gundy and he hasn't really negotiated the transfer portal very well. Hasn't taken a lot of guys in, right, and has lost guys and I think Kleiman's team is just better.
K-State, I got K-State in that game. I think they're going to play very well. Would you take Minnesota plus 20 Saturday night against Harbaugh at home? The game is in Minneapolis. Minnesota plus 20.
Maybe.
I would not. I think Michigan's going to roll the Gophers.
20 points at home is a lot.
It is a lot. That's a team. This is Harbaugh's best team he's had at Michigan. It is. They are really, really good.
I don't gamble. I'm not answering that question.
It's going to be like 45-20.
Okay.
Then that will not cover the spread if you take the 20. I'm not a great math mind, but
I'll bet you a Diet Coke.
All right. We got a Diet Coke bet going on for that game.
Is that gambling?
That's all right. Everybody does it now, Kolpack. What can you do? Couple FCS games here before we get out of here. We're picking the Chattanooga, Western Carolina game. I'm intrigued in that. Those are the two top teams in the SoCon. Western Carolina has never been good in football. This might be their breakthrough year. They're 4-1 right now.
Go back to 1983, the last time they were relevant.
Wow. That's a long time. That's 40 years ago, Kolpack. No one listened to our podcast can remember how good they were then.
1 AA runner-ups.
How about Idaho and Cal Poly? Idaho's on the road at 4-1. They get their big national television game next week with Montana.
Remember when Cal Poly used to be so tough?
Yes.
Man, they were good.
Yep.
Back when Craig was first getting going in the transition years, oh, man, they were good.
Oh, I don't remember the coach out there. Rich, it's going to bug me.
Ellerson.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah. Idaho's winning that game. Idaho's
back finally.
Think so?
After coming down from the FBS.
And your favorite in the Big South OVC, that's a combined league, UT Martin at 4-1. Eastern Illinois is 4-1. That game is in Charleston, Illinois. That's the home of
a team
VIU.
that rushes for 405 against a Valley team. I got Martin.
Yeah, I'm on the Skyhawks there. UT Martin's pretty good, so we'll see. Don't forget, the game is not on WDAY.
It's not.
Call Kolpack if you want to complain. Do not call me. Do not tweet me.
Here,
do not email me.
Dom's phone number is...
But we will be on with Bison Game Day on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. We'll be live in Springfield. Jeff, myself, Logan Campbell, and Kyle Emanuel. Our usual crew will be
315
come on now.
4.
Come on now. I already get
3-0.
I already get enough 8. The game is on ESPN Plus. It's the Missouri Valley Game of the Week, but we'll be there for full coverage. Jeff, Mike McFeely. Is Big E coming?
Yes,
is he back?
He's back from
travails
China or wherever he was.
So the whole Forum team will be there. Post-game show, highlights galore coming up on Saturday.
Izzo at WDAY.com.
They got that
Izzo at WDAY.com.
They got that one. If they want to complain, they know where to find me there. For Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dom Izzo. That is the Kolpack and Izzo podcast, brought to you by Gate City Bank.